Hey y'all. I hope you all are having a very beautiful Thursday. I'm having a fabulous Thursday myself. I wanted to share a dream that I had a while ago with you guys. It has been on my mind, and even when I had the dream, it was quite shocking, but by the end of it, I understood why I was having it. So, in this dream, I was in a hospital room and I was there with my youngest daughter and my youngest son, and my grandmother was there also. Now, my grandmother transitioned in 2009, so I was quite shocked to see her there, sitting there doing a crossword puzzle. And so, in this dream, my mother was in this hospital bed and she was getting ready to transition. Now, in the dream, I was thinking to myself, why is my mother in the hospital bed and my grandmother is alive, you know, in this dream, which should have been the other way around. That's what I was saying in the dream. This is wrong. This should be the other way around. And Spirit was telling me, no, this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And this doctor came in and we all walked up. Well, not we all, myself and my two children. We walked up to the doctor, and the doctor was telling me that my mother didn't have long to live. She was getting ready to transition. She was going to do it quite rapidly. And there was nothing that they could do about it. It just, whatever it was, needed to take its course. And I was very calm. And I told the doctor, okay. My grandmother was very calm also. She actually never even got up. She just stayed in the seat she was sitting in doing her crossword puzzle. Kind of disconnected, I would say. So the doctor was like, I'll give you guys some time alone, but you need to settle your affairs. And after the doctor left out of the hospital room, I thought about what he said when he stated, you all will need to settle your affairs. Now, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I don't have any family in my life. I have cut absolutely all family out of my life. And I mean absolutely everyone except my children, my four children. My mother and I have had quite a tumultuous relationship my entire life. And there's something very special that happens when you go through your dark night of the soul and you have that rebirth. There is quite a bit of information that is gifted to you that you were blinded to before, where the veil once covered, the veil is gone. There's nothing there. You can see everything, especially when you are on the right vibration, especially when you are in alignment mentally and emotionally, and you have the spiritual intestinal fortitude to handle whatever information it is the spirit needs to give you so that you can complete whatever it is that you need to complete. Those of you who are spiritual, you know this. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. So like I said, when the doctor stated you all will need to settle your affairs, I began to think as he left the room about my relationship with my mother and her being on her deathbed. And all of the things that her and I had gone through, all of the things that I experienced coming up, all of the things that I experienced in my adult life. And I asked Spirit, why am I here? Why am I here when she is getting ready to transition? I have already mentally and emotionally and physically transitioned her out of my life myself, just as I was asked to do, which was needed, very much needed. I actually wouldn't be able to be having this conversation with you all if I didn't. So, anyway, Spirit told me to look at my grandmother. And when I looked at my grandmother, it's like she could hear what I was hearing also. So she got up from where she was and she walked over to me and she put her hand on my shoulder. And Spirit told me that I was there in that hospital room because I was going to be the one to assist my mother in transitioning into death. Now, I have had quite a few downloads in a dream state about my mother since separating myself from my family. And all of them have been loaded with information and confirmation. So I asked Spirit, you know, why was I chosen for that? Now, if you've been following me and remember the dream I told you guys about a few months ago, where one night I asked Spirit, what do I do when I go to sleep? I want to know what it is I do in my spiritual life. What do you have me do when I am asleep? And Spirit answered me. And what I do when I am asleep, if I'm not fighting spiritual wars, I go into the homes of children who are getting ready to transition into death. And I comfort them through the process. I let them know what's going on, what they can expect, and that everything is going to be okay. So I asked Spirit, why was I chosen for this? And my grandmother said to me, you've already been in training for this. You can do this, while she has her hand on my shoulder. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't think I can do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want that job. I don't want to assist her in crossing over. I'm thinking this. I'm not saying it out loud. And I look over at the hospital bed. And when I look over at the hospital bed, there was no time for me to think. My mother's spirit leapt up out of her body in that moment, floated up, and then was like next to me. And I asked Spirit, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, what's going on? Because if I'm supposed to assist her in transitioning, she's already gone. She did that herself. What is this? Spirit told me that because of the way my life has been with her, anything I needed, she had to do. Anything I asked her to do, she had to go and do it. Spiritually. And so I'm like, what? So this is like a spiritual assistant of some sort? And Spirit was like, everything that you weren't assisted in life, you will be assisted in death. Now, this is not the same thing that happens when I go into the homes of these children. When I go into the homes of these children or hospital rooms, those that are transitioning, I comfort them. Like I said, I let them know what the process is. I keep them from being afraid of the dark. I keep them from being afraid of leaving their bodies. That's what I do. And it's a process. And then they leave. Then they transition. But like I said, when her spirit leapt up out of her body and floated over to me and followed me around that room everywhere I went, that's not the normal process of, from my understanding of what I normally do. So I don't know if anyone has heard of this. I don't know if this is a thing. I've never heard of anybody talk about it. I don't know. So if you do know anything about it, please leave your comments below because I would love to gain some wisdom about this. Um, I I haven't talked to my mother in 2 years. I haven't been in her physical presence in 2 years. I have, in that time, gotten one text message from her. That was earlier this year sometime. And I've been instructed to never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, interact with her again in this realm. Now, as I said, I've had plenty of dreams about her, plenty of downloads and plenty of confirmations. So I know that what I'm gathering is accurate. Now, I know for a fact that when she does transition, people will say it's my fault. People will say I had something to do with it. But a lot of times when we live our lives the way that we want, when we straddle the fence, when we play with spiritual energy, we rack up so much karmic debt to the point that one, some of us can't pay it off, and two, some of us get so comfortable in the karmic debt that we just run it up. We run it up, no care in the world. However, those things rack up, those debts that you owe to these spirits, that you owe to all of the things that you've conjured up, the things that you couldn't deliver on. They want their pay. They want what you promised them. And they gonna fight tooth and nail to get it. Even if that means taking you out, they'll do that. Now, I'm not going to go too much into what I do know right now, but what I am going to say is I have forgiven my mother quite some time ago. It was a part of my healing process. And although I know there are still some things that she does spiritually and energetically against me, that's not for me to forgive. It's above me now. Now she'll have to go to God for forgiveness. Truthfully go to Spirit for forgiveness. There are things in life that we feel like we can hide, that we feel like nobody sees us, nobody hears us. There are some people who hold the gift of hearing, the gift of seeing, that knowledge, that wisdom. They can see, they can hear. So can their spiritual court. And so does spirit. So I'll say this. Anything in life that you think you're getting away with, you're not. There is nothing under this sun that can be hidden from spirit. So you can pick on people all you want your entire life. You can con people your entire life. You can steal from people. You can sacrifice people. You can attempt to sacrifice people. But you don't know who everyone's ancestors are. You don't know who's fighting for them behind the scenes. And a lot of times you get your own spiritual gifts snatched away from you because you are mishandling them. You are using them inappropriately. So I'll end by saying this. Y'all be careful.